believe that public-private partnerships really can address the causes and the needs that we need to address in education. We know there's not enough funding. We know that you guys are strapped. And we know as good corporate citizens and good employers that have done well, it's our responsibility to partner with you and give back. And together, we're going to develop that next generation workforce. If we don't help you understand what we need in employment, how would you ever know what to give to the kids and help them develop? If you don't understand the power of business acumen and finance and literacy from the work perspective, how can we work together and ever get those children employable? And so by collaborating, we're helping to make a difference. We're listening to what your needs are, and we're trying to address our needs as a global corporation and how working together we can solve that problem. Most of our work is done in patent development. So it was a good fit for us to work on STEM, because we believe in the power of arts, and develop this program called the Educational Ecosystem. And it's a public-private partnership. And we started with 3 schools and moved from there.
I joined Mouse Squad because I've always liked computers and electronics and everything to do with them, and I thought it's really cool that there's a club about, you know, using them and helping fix them, because I've always felt, well, like at home around electronics.
You learn a lot and you get to do a lot of hands-on, so it's not just listen, 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 like sometimes the classroom.
It's amazing what the kids can do. They are truly a unique generation in that it's not the same type of programming and such that when we grow up, there are kids in there who are going to be our next technological leaders. They also learn how to take things apart, how to build, how to program. It's not just a repair place. They are learning technology.
Teachers will fill out tech tickets online. We figure out, okay, who can go where, who knows how to do what. So specific students will go as the job requires specific knowledge.
My first and second period teacher, Mrs. Pierce, is always so happy when I end up fixing something of hers.
And for me as a teacher in the classroom, I have students that will just step up and say, I know how to do that. You know, I know a little bit about how to use a smartboard. So if you let me practice, you know, I can teach others how to do it.
I'm really good at computers. Usually my mom consults me when she has a problem with stuff.
We have an increasing number of girls we have in Mouse Squad. We have students here, especially female students, who are interested in technology, and it's another way to provide them that learning opportunity.
We focus, we concentrate, we don't like do boy stuff and just goof off.
This one's a computer. This one's keyboard, this one's mouse.
We 3 girls, we have a lot of power and we get things done.
And there's one student that I can actually think of right now who's in Mouse Squad, and he is enjoying it. He struggles in the classroom. I'm not going to say he's a perfect student. There are times where his disability has prevented him from reaching his potential, and that's where we fill in the gaps and we support. But he's also in Mouse Squad, and in Mouse Squad, he is full of life. When I attended his IEP, and the first thing he said under "What are your strengths?" he said, "I love technology." And this is a kid who, without the opportunity to explore technology, I'm not sure how school would be for him.
So we had the conversation. I said, what would it look like if we gave you X amount of money, focused on science, technology, engineering, core to your school? You could use it for teacher training, hardware, software, licensing, whatever you needed. And then I want you to work with me on where are you missing support in your curriculum? Tell me what's missing in social services, the arts, health.
And so I went over there and started meeting with them, and they hadn't created the ecosystem yet. So at the table, which felt very familiar because I worked for a lot of startups, we were talking to nonprofits and interviewing them and vetting them and saying, okay, what could you bring to the ecosystem?
We believe in a holistic approach. Our program isn't K through 8, it's K to corporate. So what happens here is if we don't have kids that are fed, they come to school hungry, they have problems at home and they need social services and counseling, we need to spend money in that so that they're ready to learn.
What Xilinx enabled us to do was create new partnerships, and one of them is with Almaden Valley Counseling Services. So what we need are counselors able to sit quietly, confidentially in a separate room and pull in students that we refer to them who have had a death in the family or are literally suicidal that week or are dealing with bullying on campus or feeling you know, whatever they're dealing with. Either they're dealing with substance abuse or they're actually cutting themselves because they're in so much pain.
Sometimes kids come in and all they need is to be heard. They need somebody to listen to them and just care about them a little bit. When a child is stressed, they're not going to learn. Your brain doesn't work that way. If your brain is stressed, it's not going to be real logical, which is needed in the classroom, right? You need that logic, you need that ability to focus. And when we're stressed, we're kind of in that fight or flight mode, and we're not going to be able to pay attention to what we're being taught. It's just going to go, you know, right out our brains. It's not going to stick. So I think it really makes it easier for them to go back in the classroom. It makes it easier for them to go home and deal with their day-to-day struggles and challenges. One student I had was a young Hispanic girl. I think she was a freshman. So we were dealing with some adjustment issues starting school. But she also was a huge gang risk. Her environment was, there were a lot of gangs around, and she was really getting pulled in that direction. She was another student that when she first started counseling could barely talk. She couldn't talk about herself. There was a lot of self-hatred. But after a year, she really warmed up. She really began to see herself as somebody of value and decide that she could achieve certain things. At one point I asked her what her dreams were, and one of them was to be able to go to college. And so I asked her, I said, do you think that's an achievable dream for you? And she said no. And after time, I think that became something she actually believed she might be able to accomplish.
We really want these kids to have real-world experience. Project Lead the Way is helping our students understand engineering curriculum, principles of engineering design, starting in 6th grade. We've got it at a couple of different high schools, and now we're working backwards and we're bringing it together.
Basically, you're going to have 2 minutes to agree on a chore, now that you've got a whole list of them. And then you're going to have 12 minutes to brainstorm ideas. Feel free to use your engineering notebooks to sketch, to share ideas, and go ahead and record them. And then you're going to have 12 minutes to build a prototype. That's when you'll get the materials from the boxes. And then at the end, we'll do a presentation of your group, and you'll be able to share the chore master that we created.
Our principal came to me and said, hey, there's this new engineering course that our district is considering. Would you like to teach it? I said, oh, yes, that's perfect, because ultimately my goal is to get more students into math and science because of the job market and giving them the practical skills. And an engineering class is amazing that a high school could offer that. In this particular class, they're learning the design process. So how does an engineer go through and make products? What are the steps? They're also learning important skills like technical drawing. So the first part we had them actually draw stuff, so they learn the actual skills of drawing, and now they're reading technical drawings. Universities are starting to recognize that students coming through the program of Project Lead the Way have skills other students don't. So an example would be at San Diego State, if you take 4 years of Project Lead the Way, you're given preferential admission into their engineering programs. The critical thinking skills, the problem solving, and that ability to really embrace learning and rigor is something that is hard for high school students to jump into. They want things to be easy. And in this class that I teach, things are not easy. They have to struggle, they have to work through things. But then there's a nice reward. They have something tangible at the end. So they start to see, if I work on something that's more difficult, you know, and I overcome it, I feel great about myself. And that's something that I think is really important for them to start to embrace, is that idea of doing things that are challenging are actually more interesting than doing things that are easy.
For us, arts is important, and I know it's been difficult to have arts in the school, but when you look at some of our employees, our engineers, you think, oh, well, they're just focused on math and science. If you really get to know who they are, we have incredible musicians and artists and all sorts of different expressions through realms of art. When you look at like building a bicycle. That's art and science and technology all working hand in hand. So the more we can instill that and the more we have that creativity, we as employers get a better workforce.
RAFT stands for Resource Area for Teachers. Between recycling and some new materials, RAFT puts together all these fantastic activities. Every year we have somewhere between 250 and 400 attend. And it's not just for our 6th graders, but it's for their families and family members. And what's great about our partnership is that not only the students come in and they get to play with things, but they make many of these activities and they get to take them home and share them at home. So, and it's all free because of Xilinx and RAFT.
The YSI program is a wonderful opportunity. It's Youth Science Institute, and they have always brought wonderful programs to the schools, or you can take students to their YSI location. The beauty about YSI for Price Middle School is that we've got an incredible 7th and 8th grade science program because of our lab program. Our 6th graders don't always have that hands-on opportunity.
I'll just hold this object in my hands. So what do you call the science of studying the Earth? Anyone know? Starts with a G. Good job. Yes?
Globe.
Well, this is a globe. But generally, if you talk about sciences, it has like an ology at the end, right?
Geology.
Very good. Geology. So we'll be talking about geology today.
So bringing YSI into our science classes in 6th grade is just that real life experience and being able to bring on hands-on opportunities to make science real.
They learn about supply and demand, and they learn about finance, and that's huge for this community, for students to have an idea of, you know, I don't need to spend every dime that I have, but I need to save some money and set that aside so that, you know, I can have things that I need for my family when I grow up.
At first it seems like it's going to be well beyond the early grade levels if we're talking about entrepreneurship and financial literacy and things like that. One of the things that we do in the 2nd grade program that we just did, that's always the highlight for me, is when I play the IRS agent and come around and collect taxes from people. You know, they don't want to pay taxes, and why do they have to pay taxes? And one of those government workers is a teacher. It's often one of the last ones the kids think of as a government worker, but they recognize that even their teacher is paid by taxes, so they're a little bit more inclined to give up their money.
JA in elementary schools is inspirational. It gives these young people that have a huge amount of ideas and lets them know that those ideas have value.
To try out new ideas, not be afraid to color outside the lines, that it's okay, and sometimes those ideas that other people might think aren't great ideas can turn into some wonderful and fabulous ideas, so that they can take it and turn it into a business, or you know, learn how to make something that people need.
For us, it's truly an honor and a privilege to be part of this and to have been part of it from the very beginning 5 years ago. The general theme of what we do is we focus on education as one of the most the driving elements we drive. Xilinx last year donated $1.1 million to causes, and the common theme we tried to find was education, and the fact that this links in with the school here, and it's a school we're tightly connected with. I mean, it just sort of, it comes together. It's the perfect opportunity for us to demonstrate our commitment. Everyone has been touched by cancer. We're committed to this event. It's a wonderful event. You know, we're all here to mitigate and over time put an end to all of this. Thank you. It's truly an honor to be part of it.
I will not stop until we have a cure. Thank you all for sharing this passion with me. As a community, we come together at this special event to raise awareness and funds to help find a cure so that no one has to experience cancer. People don't usually remember what you say, but they remember what you do. I will not stop until we have a cure because I want to see an end to cancer in my lifetime. I want to be remembered as that girl in her pink cowboy hat who gives her all to see an end to cancer. Who wants to join me? So let's get this party started!